Wow. Did you see that? Have you been in the market this week? Then my condolences. Hey, let's talk about what happened here on Friday after the bell. Friends, Romans, countrymen, that was a tough week. And followed by, off the heels off last week, that makes it a bad month. Now, if you were happen to able to get short, you may not have had a bad week. But for the rest of us poor saps out there, it was a little rough this week. Hey, thanks for coming in and hanging out with us for a little bit here on Friday after the bell, where we talk a little bit about all the misery or all the wonderfulness that was the week in the stock market, and maybe put a little bit of thought in your head about retiring early, your retirement strategy, or your retirement journey. So anyway, welcome in. Trust me, I have nothing but sympathy for all you that are in the market this week for a terrible week in the market that was. Look at the SPY index, the VOO, whatever, all index kind of ETF you want to look at. They're down 3%. You've got even the financials are down 2%. You got tech down, it's probably about 3, 4, 5% on their ETFs. So it's just a mess across the boards. And if you see the ETFs down that much, you better believe your portfolio is doing way worse. Absolutely, when the ETFs are down, it is a disproportionate thought to think that your stock's only going to be down 2 or 3%. In most cases, you'll be down 5, 6, 10%, even more. So I understand. It's been terrible. I understand it's rough to watch. And it also is rough to find all the strategies to kind of defend your positions. You make positions into new positions. You just close them and just bite the bullet. There's a lot that goes in and out of these decisions that can cost you a lot of money or save you a lot of money. So you don't want to go into these things haphazardly or emotionally. You don't want to, be like, oh, the sky is falling, the world is crumbling, and you just start slinging things out and closing positions that you don't need to, or may be able to defend, or maybe in time may even come back around. I mean, sooner or later, the market's going to go back up. That's just a logical thing, and you're going to get a pop. And sooner or later, the world's going to fall, and the market's going to settle back down. Now, that may be a while, might be a couple weeks, could be a couple months, who knows? This could even be a down year. We may be used to trading trades in a great market, an up market all the time. It's just a constantly going up market, and it's a little bit easier to trade in those markets. But when the market goes down, or it's stagnant then goes down again, you're going to need to know how to move and shift and trade in a different way. Let's say perhaps you've traded one strategy that's absolutely been gold for you this year. It's just been absolutely wonderful. It's worked for months. Well, that is no indication that it's going to work tomorrow. Things change in the market. Volatility changes. Open interest changes. Just the general stock itself can change. And when that happens, you have to be willing to move your strategy into something else. You can't just keep saying, I'm going to beat a dead horse and do this strategy till it works again, or you're going to wipe out all the nice earnings that you've made using that strategy. Maybe naked puts, which is one of my personal favorites and one that we use a lot. Maybe that's one of yours that you like to go to. Well, on a week like this week, followed by last week, you absolutely are in trouble on naked puts. And you have to decide whether you just bite the bullet and close that. You have to either decide whether you're just going to take the stock because now you're so far underwater. It is essentially a stock ownership. You may not have it in your hand, but that's what's coming. So you have to decide, hey, am I going to close this position? Am I going to sell something against them? I'm going to sell a call against this put that's completely underwater. So there's a lot of different strategies that you can use, but you just don't want to go into something just haphazardly or emotionally, just trying to, tread water. So you need to think about these things, write down the list of things that you can do, write down what's possible, and maybe look from that list that you've created at the end of making the list to see which one's better, or use some form of strategy. Now, of course, this isn't financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. We're just talking about stuff here, hanging out, talking about the week that was, and offering everybody a Kleenex at the end of the day. So it's a great time to, clean up your account. It's a great time to, manage your positions that you need, put on defensive trades if you need to do those. And it's also a great time to get into the market. Whenever things are just hemorrhaging money and everything's so low and stuff's 50%, 60%, 40%, whatever the case, off of its highs. Well, if you liked it at $100, you should really love it at $80. So you should be like, oh, fantastic. Here's a great opportunity for me to get in at a great price. And if you're selling puts to even get in, you get it at an even better price than you would have originally. So, it can be rough. You can get very narrow-minded as you start working on all those defensive structures, and now you've got blinders on to where you don't really see the opportunities that may be around you. All you see is your account going down negative, 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 negative. And if you didn't listen and you didn't watch your buying power, then I promise you probably had a disastrous week. So please, please, please pay attention to your buying power. Don't let that get low. I know if you're in a small account, it's hard not to do. It's extremely hard not to do. But when you have a day like today that has, a $500, $1,000 pullback, even in a small account, if you don't have that dry powder that can cover that downturn, then you're going to have to start liquidating assets. And when you've already been liquidating assets, and now you got to liquidate more assets, you're trying to decide, well, do I want to liquidate the winner that could possibly turn into more of a winner, or do I want to liquidate this loser that might actually come back a little bit? There's a lot of decisions that need to be made. And everybody's decisions are a little bit different based on your risk tolerance, based on the stock that you have. I mean, one stock's not going to come back the same as another. Some companies are better than others. I mean, you may have taken a flyer on, kind of a $10 stock, and all of a sudden that thing's down to $5. Well, you might want to just cut your losses. But if you're into something like a SoFi, or definitely if you're into something like an Apple, well, there's probably a good chance that stock's going to bounce back sooner or later. I've seen Tesla drop way down to a huge loss. And everybody was, writing off, Tesla's dead, for some reason. It's ridiculous. But, and here it comes storming right back. It took it a little while, but here it comes back, and it's, makes all new all-time highs. And that's going to happen as a general rule for good stocks. Now it's, sometimes like Microsoft and Meta right now are just absolutely getting their hind end kicked up between their shoulders. And you might decide, hey, let me pick a bottom here on one of these stocks and let me, dabble with it. Let me throw a couple bucks at it, see if I can, not catch a falling knife, but get that knife off the floor and then ride this wind up. Because there's a lot of potential when stocks are at their 52-week lows or stocks are on these huge pullbacks. But it's really all about the stock, and it's all about your tolerance, your patience, your long-term outlook. So a lot of things go into it, but don't just get the blinders on and think, oh my God, everything's gone to hell in a handbag, which it basically has. But there's opportunity. There's opportunity when that happens. Whenever whenever fear is at its highest, then that's opportunity right there, because usually stocks are at their lowest. Or, this may be a good chance. Hey, I've liquidated these 3 stocks that were all the same. How about I put that money into one ETF of the same nature? I've sold off these 3 tech stocks. Maybe I can just get into a tech ETF that will encompass a lot of stocks and save me this headache from happening again. But the one thing absolutely you want to do is get your stocks and your account straightened out, but you want to learn something from it. You want to learn, what am I going to do if this happens again? Now, there's no way you're going to be like, oh, I see this coming, so I'm going to be able to, completely, change my whole portfolio. You're probably not going to see it coming. You may get a wind of it coming, but you're not going to be able to just, boom, change everything at once. So you need to learn from this lesson. Hey, I should do this. This is how I hedge this position. This is what I do in this defensive strategy. Let me stay the heck out of these stocks because they're a hunk of junk. These things have been a nightmare. This thing's been a winner. So just kind of analyze your portfolio as these events are going on, because it will serve you well in the future. Because guess what? My guess is probably going to happen again. But, and if it happens again, we're better prepared for what is going to happen. And we usually don't get run over quite so bad. And that's one thing that kind of brings me to the point of being in retirement, is you can't be afraid of change. You can't be one of these people talking about, oh, they're old crotchety people, they're afraid of change, stuck in their ways. You can't be that person. You can't be that person, especially in this day and age. That may have worked, when God talked to Moses, but this is a new time. With society changing so much, and with, everyday technology and everything just kind of in a whirlwind of progression moving forward, it's easy for somebody to feel lost. I mean, you don't have to be 80 years old to feel lost about technology. You can be 35 and feel lost about technology. So, you need to stay current. Don't be stuck in a rut where you're like, well, I don't understand why these rabbit ear antennas don't work anymore. No, you need to change. You need to learn. You need to grow as everybody else grows around you. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to learn anything new. Well, that's a ridiculous statement, and it's not going to serve you well. It's not going to serve you well. It's going to put you behind. You're going to feel lost, and then you won't know what to do. So, especially in the market, you need to understand and embrace change. You need to say, hey, you know what? I've worked this strategy for 6 months, and it's been absolutely a gold mine. But today, it started not working. Well, don't keep beating a dead horse so that you lose all the profits that you made. Again, stop doing that over and over again and change your strategy. Don't be afraid to change the way you do your complete portfolio. Don't be afraid to learn new things. I mean, you got into this market, don't think that you know everything, because there's a vast amount of knowledge that's inside of this market. Just talking about options, that's the market inside the market. That's the game inside the game. So don't be afraid to change. Yeah, it's a little hard. Yes, you may not know anything about it, but guess what? You didn't know anything about anything until you learned it. You didn't know how to walk until you figured it out. You didn't know how to work your last job until you figured that out. You didn't know how to cook pancakes till you figured that out. I mean, you got to figure it out. This is life. This is what it is. You just can't quit and sit on the sidelines, especially if you're trying to retire early, you're trying to retire comfortably, or you're in retirement and you're worried about your money. This is no time to be passive and lay over and tuck your tail between your legs like a dog that's getting whipped. What you need to do is stand up and change. Say, I'm committed to change. I'll do whatever it takes to change. And in that, you may actually find that you learn new things. Things come to you like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm so glad I learned that. Hey, we're not using rotary phones anymore and asking Clara to connect us to Mount Pilot or Sarah. So by all means, learn new stuff, learn new things on the computer, learn new strategies, learn new anything, but just keep that mind rolling. I don't care if you're 35 and you think you know it all. Tomorrow you won't, because there's so much new stuff coming on. If you're 45, please just embrace change. Know that there's so much you can learn out there. There's so much new stuff. There's a whole world out there waiting for you that just keeps evolving. And I love it. I love the fact that we can change and things evolve. And I'm a cook turned stock trader. So when I started out in the restaurant world, I answered an ad in the newspaper for being a server that I never was before. Yeah, it's that long ago. I answered an ad in the newspaper. But that was my first introduction into the restaurant world. And in the restaurant world, it led me to, I didn't know anything about running a kitchen until I learned how to run a kitchen. I didn't know anything about healthcare until I learned about healthcare. I didn't know anything about changing the entire dynamic of how healthcare food should be presented and served until we did it. So now I didn't know anything about the stock market, and I did it. And I mean, not because I'm a genius, far from it. I'm just willing to learn. And I'm stubborn enough that I'm going to sit and take my lumps, and I'm going to take the beating, and I'm going to put in the hours, and I'm going to do what it takes to learn what I need to know. I mean, I am no cinematographer. I've never shot videos for YouTube, and I don't shoot videos for like anything else. So everything that you see me doing here, I've had to learn from scratch. From scratch, learning how to be in the food world and all the different facets of it. From scratch, learning how to be a trader and self-teaching me. I mean, I didn't stare at it until I figured it out. I mean, you read books, you watch videos, you learn things. And please be careful of the sources. Please, please, please do not take sources that are telling you what stock to buy. Do not take those sources. They make money off you, not off the market. So please don't say, well, they'll just tell me what stocks to buy and I'll do that. You need somebody that's going to teach you how to fish, not somebody who's going to give you a fish. That's how you are able to feed yourself for the rest of your life. You listen to these people giving you this nonsense about what stock to buy, and it's going to be a problem for you. I could go on a whole list of stocks that they've told people to buy that they're probably broke now. So let's ignore all that, but let's be committed to change. Let's say, hey, I don't know it. Go figure it out. Go learn it. Just don't roll over and say, well, I guess I'll never know it. It's a new day and age. Information is abound. Possibilities are endless. And that is great for those of us looking to retire early and enjoy life, recapture our time, and just be blessed by what we have. Hey, I appreciate you coming in. And this here on Friday after the bell, it could be a good way for you to come in and say, you know what, they understand what my problem is. They feel my pain. Misery loves company. And that's absolutely true. It's always nice to know somebody else cares and somebody else, is going through the same thing you're going through. Hey, I'm here for you. Leave it something in the comments if you have a question, if you have a comment or anything at all. Let us hear from you. We'd love to start networking in our community. And hey, again, don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to learn. Keep trading. Keep your chin up, and we'll see you next time.